Hey y'all, it's June the 27th, 2017, and last night, y'all, I spent way too much time on the computer, staring at the computer. And it happens sometimes. I was writing a story, typing it all out, um, and I got very tired. It was going late at night, and I don't know about y'all, but sometimes late at night, I might get real tired of looking at the computer. However, I feel the need overcomes me to check out the news to see if I missed anything. Right, just to skim through some news articles, see what it is that's popping off in the streets, and so that's what I did last night. Uh, Subsequently, I came across a couple of things that I think are very crucial that we need to discuss. First and foremost, it's an article I found about what is called a Delores Pride in the town of Delores, and I'm not real sure what state that is, but I'm gonna guess California. Right. There's a story that was put up on missionlocal.org. And first of all, this is a website that I ain't never heard of, but it's a website that I stumbled across. And apparently, the main objective of the website missionlocal.org is to provide local news for a global environment. I'm not sure exactly how they do it. I guess they have a lot of contributors. I came across this article, and this article is written anonymously by a community contributor here on missionlocal.org. And the headline reads this. First of all, I was totally enraptured by the headline, and I had to find out what exactly was going on, and I feel like you will feel the same. The headline is Violence Erupts at Delores Park, or I guess it's a park. It's not, I don't know what city. It really doesn't matter. It's here in America. Violence erupts at Delores Park. Twerking reveler changes the mood. Alright? Now, first of all, I gotta explain to you, this is not the first time that I've seen something like this, but however, the situation is it's quite rare. And so I went and I looked up, went ahead and I looked up this story to just go ahead and find out what exactly was happening. Here's what I gotta explain to you. The more that I read further into this article, the more I absolutely did not know what I was reading. Alright, it's absolutely bizarre. And so today we're going to take a moment out to share what in the world is happening on the internet. What in the world is happening on missionlocal.org. We're going to read this step by step. Like I said, it's written by an anonymous person, community contributor, and it reads like this. A witness wrote to Mission Local describing a Sunday night party in Delores Park that was a lot messier than we described in our earlier story. Now, they have a link to the previous story. At first, I didn't realize this is the second part. I stumbled upon the second part of a story. And apparently, this part gets even messier than the previous story that was posted to missionlocal.org. Alright, so it reads further. She said the police response time was delayed. And I'm not sure, this is a part where it's like, who are you talking about? It says, a witness wrote to missionlocal.org. I guess an anonymous witness. Doesn't have a name. She said the police response time was delayed. In quotes, they didn't need all the officers on the Castro. They needed a couple around Delores. First of all, I'm going to go ahead and guess this is San Francisco, but I really couldn't tell you because they said the Castro. They said it like it was just like everybody knows. So they didn't need all the officers on the Castro. They needed a couple around the Delores. This is during the Sunday evening party that took place in Delores. We have a backseat, basically, officer in training contributing to this website saying, you know what, they didn't need so many officers around the Castro. They should have asked me because I know where they needed them, and they needed them around the Delores Park. All right. The witness then went on to say, this is my fourth pride, and usually everyone ends at Delores on Sunday, but I've never seen it get that nuts. All right. what in the world does that mean? That's the question that came to my mind, because I heard the word pride before. I've heard it many times, and I've heard it used in several different variations. I had no idea by the context. I had to imagine that a pride has something to do with a party over there in the Delores, the Delores Park, right? The lady says, you know, this has been my fourth pride, and usually everyone ends at Delores on Sunday. I don't know what that means. I guess it's a traveling party. A pride is a traveling party, I guess. All right. Police said that a 28-year-old man was stabbed just before 8 p.m. during this traveling party and was being treated for non-life-threatening injuries. And I want to stop it right there, because when someone stabs you, more often than not, that's life-threatening. I understand what they mean, that he wasn't critically injured, but he was stabbed, and that is life-threatening. So he did have life-threatening injuries. The SFPD, I guess it is San Francisco, the San Francisco Police Department, did not have officers in the park at the time. They had officers over there at the Castro district. They didn't have officers over there at the Delores district, right? So at the time, and this is a quote, at the time we were focused on the pride events, the traveling party events, all right, and other problems around the city, said SFPD spokesperson Officer Robert Rueca. And so we are privy to know Robert Rueca's name, an SFPD spokesperson. Basically what he explained is this party, amongst other things, was causing a lot of problems over there in San Francisco. He then added that the victim said he had bumped into someone at the park and then realized when the suspect bumped him that he had been stabbed. All right, so it was what you would might call a random act of someone bumping into you and purposefully wanting to stab you in a very crowded party. All right, so the witness said it was around 7:45 p.m. when the girl got hit with the bottle. All right, and it's like, what? See, it just gets more. The plot just keeps thickening and thickening by every sentence. I'll read it again. The eyewitness said it was around 7:45 when the girl got hit with the bottle. Now, I have to explain to you that the girl getting hit with the bottle, that's actually detailed in the first part of this story. And we're going to cover that towards the end, because I stumbled upon the second part of this story. So let's keep reading. This is in quotes. She was tried to avoid, I guess the person means to say she was trying to avoid the whole ordeal. It just escalated quick because everyone was drunk. And so people started heckling and getting rowdy, all right? So this is a party spilling into calamity. It's a traveling party in which everybody is completely drunk, and we haven't described just how drunk these people are yet. So hold on one second. The witness added that she called 911 at exactly 8:02 p.m. Beyond this, now we're going to have an account from an eyewitness. If you have video, missionlocal.com or missionlocal.org wants you to go ahead and share whatever video you have of this particular event. If you were there in San Francisco experiencing what's called a pride, all right, over there in the Delores Park. Now, this is an eyewitness account. All right, I believe it's completely anonymous, but here it goes. It was a group of juveniles escalating the entire scenario. Now, I described to you a whole bunch of people in the traveling party over there in San Francisco. The very first sentence of this witness testimonial, I had to stop you there, all right? It was a group of juveniles escalating the entire scenario. And here's the thing. On this channel, I don't necessarily, and we don't necessarily buy into black and white and vague terminology referring to races and things like that. But here's what I can tell you. Here's what I can tell you for certain, even though it doesn't say it anywhere in this article. When the lady says it was a group of juveniles escalating the entire scenario, here's what I can promise you. Those juveniles refer to themselves as black people. I promise you that. And I don't know. I don't have proof of it, but I promise you. So it goes on saying this. There was not enough police presence around Delores Park to keep the situation from escalating, like we stated earlier. And the police didn't arrive till 30 or 45 minutes after the fight ended, all right, which is probably an inaccurate word to call it a fight. Police arrived at about 8:30 p.m., all right. I watched from my group in the middle of the park as the girls got hit with the bottle. All right. Everyone just kept getting rowdy and recording on their phones, and I do want to point out that that is exactly what has taken place and will take place and has been taking place for a long, long time. When stuff gets out of hand and situations sincerely need to be resolved, people whip out their camera phones and they simply videotape it. So that's what they do. A group of guys beside me was cheering on the whole ordeal and filming, right? Obviously. Then the energy of everything shifted. Right, and there was some definite animosity in the air, and that sounds very ominous. I mean, it's kind of vague, but the witness describes that there was a general animosity that swept the whole environment. They're at the Delores Park traveling party. It was all really disorienting and happened super fast. All of a sudden, on the other side of the park, opposite the bathrooms, a guy got chased down. And about 4 guys brought him down and started kicking him on the ground. Here's what I'm going to promise you. Like I said, it's nothing really racist here on this channel, and I don't buy into all that. But those people kicking the guy on the ground, they all refer to themselves as black people. I promise you that. They were really kicking him and beating him badly. I heard someone say there was a knife. Again, no one de-escalated, and a mob formed around the fight. All right, so that's definitely a party. That's definitely a traveling party that you want to be a part of. That's what you want to go to. Like if someone starts beating the ever-loving dog shit out you, if you want to go to a party where people are just going to mob around and watch and videotape it. Everyone recorded the incident, according to the witness. I watched him get curb stomped. Do you understand? Do you understand the environment that I'm describing to you right now, where everybody's standing around videotaping people getting curb stomped? All right. It was really extreme. I'm gonna have to agree with you. It's very extreme. Like a bad episode of Black Mirror, and I don't know what that is, but I guess that's like a horror show or something on the television. No one did anything to stop it. Everyone was just filming and watching. See, I gotta let y'all know this is going to be a continuing trend where people are gonna watch you get absolutely curb stomped and videotape it. Everyone, hold on, I already read that. The only thing that seemed to stop the whole scenario, and see, when the plot just couldn't seem to get thicker, it gets thicker. I'm going to explain to you. This is witness testimonial, and she said the only thing that seemed to stop the whole scenario was when a tall, wiry, and really stoned gay guy named Cameron near my group began twerking, and the whole mob of people ran at him and began to dance around him. What in the world is this lady describing to us? First of all, we have a traveling party of absolutely insanely drunk people and probably people high on drugs. Right? It's getting out of hand. It's turning into just a shit show of people curb stomping other people, a whole mob of people videotaping that and enjoying that. All right. At which point, a tall, wiry gay fella who's stoned out of his mind named Cameron begins twerking. And thus the whole mob of people then run over to him and start dancing. All right. Just imagine for a second if you were getting your ass whooped all over the place and curb stomped, and then a random person starts twerking, and the mob of people enjoying your ass whooping run to that person and start dancing. It sounds like the Twilight Show. I hope that never happens to anybody who watches one of these videos. Cameron, the witness, wrote, got nervous and said he was too high and didn't really know what was happening. He was so high that he had no idea what was happening. Only that he felt like the only thing that he could do about the energy was to dance, not only dance, but twerk his ass cheeks all over the place. That was the only thing. He saw a mob of people around, 1 or 2 people getting curb stomped, and people videotaping. The only thing that he could do as a gay man who's stoned out of his mind was to twerk, all right, and totally shift the attention to his twerking. All right, so the witness, she goes on, she says, it sounds silly, but he probably saved someone's life. Wow. He probably saved someone's life in the middle of this mob who's videotaping him losing his life. So it sounds silly, but Cameron, the extremely high fella twerking, probably saved someone's life with a twerk. All right? People started dancing, but there was still a lot of negativity in the air. Can you imagine what I'm describing to you? All right? I have no choice but to believe that all of this is a lie. Alright, but at the same time, it's a very absurd lie. I can't believe that somebody made it up. Alright, but this is witness testimonial on missionlocal.org. I didn't make it up. It says that in this particular situation where everybody was watching someone get curb stomped to death, in this particular situation, they ran over, started dancing around a tall white man named Cameron, who was high out of his mind, and yet and still there was still a lot of negativity in the air. People started dispersing, and the dancing probably staved off any more fights until the police surrounded the place. So obviously you're already understanding that these are a bunch of absolute, total, and it's not negotiable, savage barbarians. Who does this? Who does this in America? Where do they do that at? Where does people get curb stomped and totally stabbed and things like that, and everybody gathers around and videotapes it until a tall white man starts twerking, and then they start dancing around him? All right, where does that happen at? I want to ask that question, but we're going to go ahead and continue. This is a long article, right? We want to get through all of it. The witness says, when I was leaving the place, there was a man being treated in a fire truck, and there was a woman talking to police who had his blood on her. That's a good sign for a party. I was standing next to the fire truck waiting for my Uber. I don't know why she was standing next to the fire truck, but she was waiting for her Uber. She probably said, hey, can you meet me by the fire truck and get me out of here? Alright, so a girl in my group said she heard the girl who had blood on her that her friend got stabbed. Alright, the overwhelming issue here was not just the trash everywhere. And please understand, this whole area of San Francisco was absolutely trashed. Which was sad, and it is sad, by the lack of any sort of police presence around the park. Alright, so she said the issue was not only that this party was completely trashed, everyone was drunk and high out of their mind and fighting people and curb stomping people and dancing and twerking. She said that wasn't really the problem. The more overwhelming issue was that there wasn't much police presence over there overlooking the savage barbarians, and so there was no reason for any of the fighting. That I can assure you, there was no reason for any of the fighting. However, it took place among savage barbarians. Alright, so we're going to continue to read. Had there been a friendly police presence around the park like there was around the parade, the entire situation would have been avoided. Totally avoided. Alright. If there was more friendly police faces, these savage barbarians, they would have acted and conducted themselves in a better way. The entire time the fight was occurring, I kept thinking, this will be stopped any second by an officer who we don't realize is here. So in the witness testimonial, she admits that all she wanted was officers around. This is usually a person who's very anti-police, probably. She said, if only there was officers around here to save the day. It's not like I'm a person here that I could try to stop this. I have a cell phone, I'm just going to videotape it while people get curb stomped. She said, if only there was, some friendly police presence, this whole situation would have been averted. Alright, so the entire time the fight was occurring, I kept thinking, oh man, I hope this gets stopped by an officer who I don't realize is here to save the day. Alright, she then goes on and says there was so much alcohol and absolute drug use. Alright, so what I've been gathering is that this is a traveling party. It has something to do with the parade taking place in San Francisco. How much you want to bet? Homosexual pride parade, that's what it was. Alright, I'm not hating on people for being homosexual, whatever you want to be prideful, whatever, go for it. But see, this is what was taking place in San Francisco. Absolutely not enough police presence to keep the savage barbarians in line, because the savage barbarian part of the pride parade, they were getting so drunk and high out of their minds that they could not barely understand what was going on. They were videotaping people as they were getting curb stomped and stabbed and all sort of just mob lynching violence. Alright, that was taking place at a pride parade. Alright, so gather that all in, because this is going to be a long video, it turns out, okay, because there's more article and we need to go over it. Alright, this lady said there was so much alcohol and drug use, of course there was going to be a fight. Yes, alright, yes there is, of course there is. Of course there is, alright? By the time the police arrived, and why are people proud of this? By the time the police arrived, we all were already dispersing from the area, so of course no arrests were made. And she says that almost sarcastically, like, of course the police didn't get to the bottom of our savage barbarianism. Of course, of course there's gotta be dozens of camera footage of the incident and all the perpetrators, but of course the police they were being lazy and they got there late, so there were no arrests made. Those asshole police. Alright, this group of guys totally jumped the kid and bolted the second the dancing started. So you begin to understand what exactly took place. Um, The witness says that, again, a tall, wiry man, stoned out of his ever-loving mind, over there at the Pride Parade named Cameron, starts twerking and totally alleviates the curb stomping and ultimate demise of people who are drowning in a mob of people who are videotaping it, right? And so at first, the witness gives credit to Cameron and says, you know what, Cameron probably saved his life. Cameron probably saved those people's lives by twerking, funnily enough, alright? So she puts Cameron on a pedestal, if you will, and shines a spotlight on him and says, you know what, your twerking probably saved the day. Here's what actually comes into consideration now. Here's what actually probably happened. It made more sense. His twerking distracted a whole bunch of people, and the people who were laying down the beatdown and the curb stomping and the stabbing and the hitting people with bottles, those people ran away and they got away. So basically, Cameron, indeed, he did not save anybody's life. What he did was he enabled a situation where the people who were attempting to basically murder people in the middle of this party, he basically created a scenario where they could get away safely and everybody was distracted. So thank you, Cameron, for doing that. You're an absolute hero for doing what you did. All right. So in a follow-up email, the witness added something. She added that after the beating incident, which is what it's being referred to, she added something after that, and she goes on to say this. It was starting to get dark and cold. I'd already given baby wipes to several people throwing up on the street corners. Now, see, there's a reason why we kept reading down this article, because it's chock full to the brim of absolute absurdity. Do you understand the sentence that I just told you? First of all, you already understand the story I just described to you. Right? And so the testimonial keeps going. So I want to go right over. I want to reiterate what this lady said. She said, I'd already given baby wipes. It was the point of the Pride Party parade in which I had already given baby wipes to several people throwing up on the street corners. Right? So that's the kind of party you're dealing with. You understand? It's not one people, because everybody's seen that at a party where it's one person or two people, maybe three people, just had too much. They went over the line. They didn't know their limit. Guess what? Now they're outside and they're throwing up by the curb or something. No, not at this party. This party was much more than the parties we've been to. In this party, the witness testified that she'd given a baby wipes to several people. Like there was a line of people at this party who were absolutely throwing up their guts from the absolute just abomination of how much they've been drinking and how many drugs they've been doing at this pride parade. Right? Everyone was just really drunk. There would have been way more fighting had the police not arrived when they did. Obviously, traffic was really congested from everything going on in the city, so the response time was definitely after the fighting ended. And so she does succeed that yeah, traffic is real bad, so police, it is going to take them time to get there. And so you have to give them slack. You got to stop being savage barbarians, all right, until the police show up. So the police arrived around 8:30 p.m. as quickly as they could and completely surrounded the place with fire trucks and police motorcycles. I got worried for a moment that I had been overzealous with calling them. She got worried about it. She wasn't sure if she should be calling 911 when people are getting curb stomped in a party where everybody's completely drunken, high out of their mind, and videotaping it. A man was inside a fire truck, and he was definitely being treated for injuries, but by the time police arrived, the people in the fight had pretty much taken off, obviously, because they had a distraction set up for them, and so they took off. Even though they've been videotaped by definitely dozens of people, they took off and they got away. There needed to be a friendly police presence, as she keeps saying, around Delores, making sure people were safe there as well. And it kind of felt like Delores was the place without security. Okay, so there you go. I think that's the end of the article. I believe that's the end of the article, and we're not going to read any comments or anything like that. Here's the thing. Do you understand what we just described? All right, that this huge melee took place, absolute calamity, and it's surrounding whatever, homosexual pride, LGBTQIA, whatever, pride or whatever. You do a parade, you get absolutely drunk and high out of your mind. You go to different parts of the city and you congregate, and stuff spills out into savage, barbarian violence, because that's the type of things that you enjoy. Right, so this happens, a complete calamity. People almost lose their lives. There's gay guys twerking, thinking that they're saving everybody's life. And the police, there should have been more police there. That's the end game. That's the final lesson. That's what Jerry Springer calls his final thoughts, is that there should have been more police there to police the savage barbarians and doing what they're doing. And somehow during this whole melee, no one has really bothered to lend a description about the main perpetrators of who is perpetrating all the violence here at the homosexual pride party. But here's what I'm willing to promise you: those people who done it, they refer to themselves as black people. Alright, and I promise you, I put everything I love on it. And so, with that being said, I was kind of curious, and we've been here for a minute, but I was kind of curious as to the first article. What do they mean? They say, this second update, this second installment is actually a little bit messier than the first one. What were they talking about? And so we're going to cover the very beginning of the first article in question that was written, and the headline is Delores Park Assault Party and a field of bottles, cans, and cartons. Of course it is. It was completely trashed. That's what it means to have pride. Anyways, Pride weekend ended at Delores Park Sunday night. I guess this whole weekend of partying. And then Sunday night with no life-threatening injuries, but 2 incidents, which I had to suggest to you were quite life-threatening. An assault with a bottle and a party that triggered the arrival of 24 police officers. All right, the assault that took place at about 9 p.m. or a little bit before 9 p.m. on the southwest corner of Delores and 18th Street. Here's where the first article starts to describe 2 sisters from Ireland and some friends have been sitting on the sidewalk trying to find their Clipper cards. What is that? I have no idea. Maybe it's like a transit card or something like that. They were trying to find their Clipper cards when they were approached by a group of young people who asked for a pen. I'm going to stop you right there. A group of young people. I mean, how is it that we can note that these people are young, but we can't notice nothing else about them? We can't notice, is it men? Or is it ladies? What do they look like? Alright? What do they look like? And they're not going to tell you in this article, I promise you that. But anyways, the 2 sisters from Ireland, like I said, and some friends have been sitting on the sidewalk trying to find their Clipper cards when they were approached by a group of young people who asked for a pen. One of the sisters said they didn't have one. Seems simple enough. A response that led one person in the group to hit one of the sisters over the head with a bottle. Alright, so we're going to stop right there. We're not even going to read any more of this damn article. You understand? The thing is, here's what I got to explain to you. That's preposterous. It's inaccurate. It's actually irresponsible that someone would write this in an article. He said 2 sisters from Ireland were attacked by a group of people who walked up and asked them for a pen when they said they didn't have a pen. That's when one of the ladies got hit over the head with a bottle. That's the reason. No, that's absolutely not the damn reason. You gotta be joking me. Alright, the reason that the lady got hit over the head with a bottle is because the group approached her, fixing to hit her over the head with a bottle. They just wanted to get close enough, and so they asked her something about if she had a pen. Alright, the object of their little game that was being played was to hit the lady over the head with a bottle. That was number 1 on their minds the entire time. And what I want to tell you about this young group of people, like I said, we ain't racist here. I don't even buy into the whole black and white thing. But this young group of people that was not described, those people refer to themselves as black people, dude. And I'm tired of this. This is completely absurd. People are being victims to all sort of violence. Nobody's willing to describe who's perpetrating all the violence. Nobody's willing to do it because it's not politically correct. I'm sorry about that. You need to find these people. You need to put them under the jail. They're savage barbarians. Everybody in this party needs to know better and needs to do better, and they need to turn their lives around, alright? And I'm sorry, that's just for their own safety. This is ridiculous. Well, how many parties do you have to go to until you're the one that's curb stomped on the damn ground, alright? And then nobody's going to want to describe or apprehend the people doing it. There's a whole mob that could stop the people and pin them down, but they're not going to, right? Instead, they're going to videotape it, put it on the internet, alright, and call that some sort of pride, some sort of homosexual pride party or whatever like that. Everybody's drunk and high out of their mind. These are savage barbarians, dude. We're living in a tribulation. And I know I've taken up too much of your time, but we're living in the tribulation. If you have any sort of respect for yourself, if you have any sort of pride in your own life, you will never find yourself in or around anywhere near any of these situations, because I can promise you it's going to happen more and more and more and more. We're both even in the tribulation, y'all. And I'll holler at y'all later. It's June the 27th, 2017.